And we already talked about at the onset of this Gospel of John, John is writing to answer another really, really big question that I would say is, without a doubt, the biggest question you could ever ask. Who is Jesus? Fully understand is, when you have these two enormous questions that really life hinges upon, which is who is Jesus, answering the first one should determine how you answer the second question, why? Well, who is Jesus? Well, is he Lord? Is he Savior? Is he Messiah? Is he truly the one who can provide me the only help that will ever make a dime of difference in my life? Is that really who Jesus is? Because if that's who he is, well, that changes everything. I'm his follower. I'm his servant. I'm a slave to his righteousness. I'm a disciple. I'm a follower. That's who I am. I am someone who has been saved. I'm someone who's been redeemed. I'm a child who's been adopted out of the wretch that was my sin-scarred life and brought into his new life. And my life is now hidden in him. See, these two questions that determine everything about your life will rise and fall on those two questions. Who is Jesus and who am I? And if we set out in this life to determine who in relationships, it will be defined by how much kind of cars we drive. It will be defined by lots of things. But if we can really lean into those two questions, if you can nail those two things down, it will not solve all of life's problems. It may not make life necessarily easier, but it is, without a doubt, I can tell you this without a doubt, because I've tried, is our only hope. It is in seeing Jesus, track with me here, and this is why I love how John writes what he writes. It is in seeing Jesus that you see who God is. That's the beauty about Savior, is that if you want to know what in the world is God like, well, the good news is we have an answer to that question, and you can go find it in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and John. You can figure out what is our God like by going to these places. I would tell anybody, if you're like, hey, who is God and what is God like? I would say the Gospel of John is the best place to go, because you have a representation of who God is through his Son in a way like no other place. And along with that, in seeing Jesus, you see who Jesus is, but then you also see who you are as well. I'm not a Calvinist. I think I've made that clear over my years of preaching here, but I really do love what John Calvin says about this. He says, all the wisdom we can possess